Akawo mzigo kwa Mama Tefi, obro mi kende de usa maber, ibro yudo gi maber.
Mama Tefi mitumba obo koreli obuya, bwa mitumba oligene.
Karibu Harken Academy Kisii, shule ya kisasa ya bweni na kutwa kwa wavulana na wasichana, inayopeana masomo ya CBC kuanzia preschool, primary na junior secondary. Iko na mazingira matulivu, walimu waliohitimu na wa kutosha, maktaba ya kisasa, mahabara ya kompyuta na sayansi, madarasa na mabweni ya kisasa, mahali pa wanafunzi kujifurahisha na pia wanakuza talanta na kutia fora katika michezo mbalimbali. Vile vile wana usafiri wa kutosha. Kupata nafasi ya mwanao, watembelee Riatwenya, kilomita 2 kutoka mji wa Kisii, barabara ya Kisii Marani, au piga simu nambari 0755331318. Harken Academy, the future is here.
Mwanchumuri ya Etaya TV kera litikolie ikiana na mwana litikolie Jumanne chinsa ibira na bego chinsa nye ni otokomera naye elitwa ko manyonsi bunakorekanire kurwa chinkongo ao
Nime yeki manyererio Jumanne na nigora bego kumirana na inche Evelyn Osero
na inche Eric Bosire
tokubwatira na bari kibaito ro kumanyanara yabereka watka kurwa se chinsinyo ao imesi ya Kenya na se orogongo rwa gusi
nyirabo igontunyara ko batogo twara baraya na mwana kurwa sensemelia ya gesiasa komulekeronsi buranyara ko bakao korekana ime na isiko yensi ya Kenya
kira litkoria Jumanne ime yeki manyererio Jumanne ime Etaya TV
oborabu wa gusi.
Oko babu ya kwa monto nechingaki obachanu bwaye bwikiranete na bwikirania yonsi ngwetera sogotanga okomanya na boigo kwerenda bya kebochenu na kige kogera asomoroberio bwabachanu bwaito tokumirana nabamanyi bwabachanu abanyagitari korwase chinsemo ao au bagotumanyanga na kitokwerenda na gwetanga korwasa marwaire ao aliago tonyora buna mwanya bantu
amarwaire na mange agotoka sirini ayande ngubwenari enda ayande ngogerare bakabona twatware gintu bikoroka liver failure
atebe for example kwa rosiri ndagera yao kwa yebekira buto yekune giti chingi cha chiri cha kuna kunere once you go there utake koli utaendesha
yes
ono ndio omuswata molito weika abenga kirekera covid obireti ninjele digena dia bereti ivo release korwa se obarire
umerana na inche Sara Nyarangi ontita kera litukolia Jumanne ensa ya monenusu ya botuko Etaya TV egertu sange asovwamo nomanyetenga korenda na bwetanga niko kobwete korwalia
Etaya TV oborabu wa gusi.
Bya kegima wancho murigereria bwe Etaya TV na gukwaniri andonsi ase uturigete kurwa boigona nigongo kwarigania ase enchira ya bene ase ritukoria lero lya Jumanne chitariki ne 31 ne ritukelimo ose 31st omotienyo yoiga ogatato omwaka bwechiriwe na 2025 ne boigona rire ritukorio moelio lyo motienyo yoiga igono gosemeri kwane buna kurutwa chagete omotienyo yoiga ogatato paka boniga buna twanyare ko batogokora ase ritukoria lero no gosemeri kwane buna kwabeire ko kogendera kubwati mirobero yonsi Etaya TV baragwa gusi kubwa mono na ime yo morobero yoiga okwana netaya buna botambe kirali tukoria Jumanne nigo tokumirana na gusanga amonaye elio nakomanyina nararia yaiga agende tokobakagokoreka korwa chinsemo au ime na isiko yorogongo roito rwa gusi ekero toguchikoba tokogendera kubwatirana ase obwange mono amona abariki baito bamang'ana abo bagendete gwaka chikambi chinsemo au liogotema kumanyana nararia yaiga agende tokobakagokoreka ase chinsemo au imene isiko yorogongo roito rwa gusi boigona okobwatirana okuya kegima ase ntira yobo ime mono amona abaminto korwa sensemo ita kabire studio nigotoro no director ne Ruth Aluda korwa sensemo echi camera nigotorenere Franklin Mayunga bakubwatiranere Marion Mora astochiko batokubwatiranere Cyrus Aziz eligokomanyia aliale asenseme yiga yo murobero yoiga okwana netaya yontara chikobengo komanyia aliale korwa sabaliki baito bamang'ana nere byana arakomanyina naralia yiga agende tokobakaho koreka ase ense yeito ya Kenya tiotora chakera korwa ase omochulia o Nairobi ase obutukubu kira lero ensemelia yechirelia ya gikomba nigobono ogutagurwa wechireyo kwabagoko enekigwa ase ensemeyo asabanta bange abukobwa mono baraba onchereria babeire bono bakwemurunganiria egakore ekyo nabo igona inelichiko ose no roboti rwa betero ko aba onchereria bensemeyo babete bakoewe notice korwa omwaka wechiri 2024 chitariki isato omotienyi ogatano buna banyalko bagosuka nabo igona batigo korero bonchoreria ase enseme yabakeye yabeteke gutagura ubutiko bwo kira rero nabo igona bali bagachite ange na bakurukana riparian land gosase ensemeria yo bole mu buli burange ne chindoche gosaro soroche asengencho na kwabere wakorora umwancho murigereria chinga kichinyinge buna imbura egende toko bagekoene kiwa chinsemo au kobwamana na korwa sensemeria yo mucho monene o Nairobi twarorire buna amache abereka gosoa goikasi nyomba etoigo yaberege koira abantu abande bagasiya magimabo gwetania abantu 53 nabo igona enibe nyinge kabage gosirirwa asare nene kabage koenekiwa asomochulia o Nairobi nabo igona abantu gusabonchoreria bali bagane tokoro bonchoreria asensemeria yo muchio gikomba gusasi chireria gikomba mbabete bakoewe notice bagatebiguna banyara kwa bakonganya korwa chinsemeyo korwa omotienyo yo gatano chitariki 3 2024 wikarero ase elitko gosobotko wokera rero baba bono bagotagurirwa sensemeyo abange babire bakwemurungania korende no chika kwa bete gokorwewa korwa se wizareria ya intira ose oborendi buna banyara kwa bakorusia amagacho alia ataganei ose abetega kwagachwa mamincha nelichiko ase chinsemecho ase obolemo bwo borange ne chindoche obuna ekerembule gotwe nyinge nigo konyora buna andake amangane toiga ko baga kororekana rose ko ene kiwororo iyanya ko baga koleta sarenene ekero ebinto bigosombwa enibo yabantu yasombwa abantu basombwa kigali kyasombwa nabo igona ebintu binge byanya ko bigosaleka igobono yuona rondo chikorwa sensemeyo ya omochio yuo o Nairobi asebono ogotawuru kwabagoko enekigwa ase chinsemecho kolende na nigo abonjoreria no butambe barabo no kwemurungani bakwemurungania barabo bagoteana kolengana na barabo na teribuya barabo gotagurirwa kolende na kolengana nelichiko nigo lichiko bono lyabwa iria beteriko bwatigwa esengencho na konyora bairwe notice oise korigereri buya kuri omwaka 2024 mutinyo gatano wikaboniga roche na nenga kientambe babete bakoegwa kinende buna butambe mwanya bantu nabo bakora buna baganitie lakini negere lichiko lie kiwiko bwatigwa aina arabona gocha akoreka korengana nayo mwancho murigense okobori urochiri ngobwento kobaga kubekirwa mamocho serikali wetira se wizara yiga ya uburendi bwa serikali ya county ya Nairobi babete bakurugo chiko n'abantu bakonganya kurwororo roche kurwo mwaka 2024 mutinyu gatano gwikaboniga ugotagurugo kwabere gokohena kigo butu gukira rero ningo bwenete kubekirwa mamocho ne serikali ne wizara wose n'abamenyi b'ekinsemi cyo bakoro bonchureria ase ensemejo nabo kontebya gwetira se mtandao yetu ya Facebook gwetira se namba ito yesimi sengencho na ayo naro abereka gokoreka nakoena kigwa korwa ase ensemejo ya muchioyo o Nairobi oigo mwancho murigereria togosuka bosio ase enseme yende twarorire ali abereka koena kigwa kobwa na emibireria y'abantu ange 30 babe abalia babete bagutuka batindekire gosemebere yabo itindekira sense media ye cemetery ye moime yomuchi olia ose county ya Kericho ose Makaburini public cemetery lakini rende korengana na mugabana we county ya Nyamira Moskimo Munyaribo eni gagoteana korengana na barobu ose serikali ye county ya Nyamira nibo babeta bagwa approve emebere 13 yoka eirwe echikoba kegotinde kwase chinseme echo chia Makaburini nendago atebete buna tali na ndero lyoka babiri bagokora emirime yo bakubwatira ne serikali ye county yo ya Kericho nabo igona korengana nere mibere ni 13 yoka abete kawa approve echikoba kegotinde kwa ase chinsemo chiria nabo igona na abete gakorwa omubisoyomo ne gari yabuguriti emibere 13 echikoba kegotinde kwa bonere nere iga abo agote buna tamanye tina oyo nere igachita gakora mamincha na buna babeta bakuigwana ne serikali ye county esengencho na igachita gakora private trade obonturia bwa kimagendo yetali buyakorengana ne lichiko akabaga kogenda na kurigie private morgue agakore byasara ebyo asenchire tabwane tikorengana nere goikana kibese kiria serikali ya mwete mu bisoyo yanyara ko bakawakana wetira se Kericho County authorities wasase cyobisi cyo serikali ya county ya Kericho omo bisoyo gatachiti wakana bese cyororo igenera chiete agakora magenda ye akabaka wakana ase private morgue agakora byasara ebyo bose akabaga akora private arrangements ko ebyo nonye no mugabana we county ya Nyamira gotebuna obotuki mbogendrete igona korengana serikali ya county ya Nyamira barabwo bakoleta korengana ne lichiko no mugabana goteba nabo igona emebere babete bakwena na kisheria echikoba kegotinde kwa senseme ye county ya Kericho nemebere 13 no yanere iga kumetina rinde mebere ye 33 abantu 33 ya chiete ya togete gabwa senseme ye county ya Kericho kego ya kera yabale ko bagotindukura nere na baboliti nere nanka yaruete lakini rende nigo obotuki bogene tuko bagokoreka aseboniga abantu batano nomo babekirubyara ekerelinganilyo ligende toko bibliko bwatiwa asobo imemono gati yabo abo bisabali bakora emiremu asense media ye county ya Nyamira ko bwamono na asense mejo yenkendu amona abande asobo tukibirachiko abo kogenda gokorwa nabo igona aseritukuria rero nigo omo DCI was Director of Criminal Investigations Mohamed Amin nigo akageire go chigotalira ense mejo ya Kericho ase emeberejo yabete kego ruborukorwa ase bagote abuno bwaga chibo yambo chiko bagokorwa ase ensemejo magega yemeberejo korusi wororo ase litukolia rero ekerebono obotuki bwaime mono bagotebana bogene tuko bagokorwa ase chinsemejo likumanyana ayonsi ngayarwete na mbarabya baiga bare gokora arrangements ichiga bakorokana kya kimagendo ekyo andake kire mamincha neli chiko nabo igona korengana no gavana we county ya Nyamira erenigo abetega korwa libaga liemebere 13 uchigotinde kwa asensemeyo ya Makaburini Public Cemetery ime yomochio yo okericho lingana likonsana lakini ndiganete ko baliko bwati kwa ase oboime boigo togusuka bosio mwancho murigeria silingana linde kurwa sensemelia ya Isli omochio Nairobi nigo abakagirwa batatu na barabo babere bakobekwa biara abona korengana na barabo nigo babete bakobwatwa ekero babete bagokora egekore egekongu kyoko moita omusao yomo w'emyaka 15 ebere 17 years old bakamoita goika gosiria obogima bwaye chinsemo chia Isli ime omochio Nairobi magega yo gotwara engusanano ekero bono abamurabo korengana no botuki bagotebuna video yabete recorded wose video libabwe yabete kubwatwa nigo bakorekana koba abasae 10 lakini asaboniga abo babere bakobe kubyara n'abasae batatu ekero bono obotuki birachwa bakogenda ko koreka korengana no gosirigwa kwobogima w'omusao yo w'emyaka 15 ebere amangana amakongu sana boigo togosuka bosio na inde lingana linde korwa sensemelia ya Bomet county ya Bomet mangana makongu sana agene toko bakwana kiwa kubwa manekere toko kwanira iguru ya mangana yo bwanchani bwa makweli twarora mangana mange ka okoreka lingana ndoro bwango igali abeteri gokoreka ilio baro ligende toko baliko bwati bwasoimono musubati yo mamiri clear abeteka gosiarwe acid kolengana no botuki bakoteana andake ne ex boyfriend yabeteke kumusiarira acid yeyo naboni gaba na sensemelia ya Bomet ime ya Kimulot nigo omusacho yomo akageire bono komoita omwanchioye goika gosirio bogima bwaya sirieta koro kwa Charles Korir nigabetega komoita omwanchioye koro kuna Cynthia Chepkoech goika gosiria obogima bwaya na sengencho omosubati yoiga atagete komotiga bona karorendiri kango tigwa tigangite agamoita goika gosirio bogima bwaye asaboni gabono omosacho yo Charles Korir nigo atangire asegetaseni kia konoin ime ya Bomet mangana makongu sana onekero montago teita gotageti igatagete kogotika inkio komoitire does it mean bono rende ndi twesenge twarora abantu abange bakoire bitambukire bye bitindi n'abasacha does it mean mubwatinjire ndi muragaya na mangana kero montago goteina ngogotikari nkyo okwire getambukire getindi ke komaete na gochibosiga iga eserikali nere maiso goikonya ko bokoirerwe getambukiro korengana neri chiko okoira unachukua sheria mikononi mwako kwanyana kwako goito muntu goika gosirio bogima bwaye nae bono kwa mana ko beku biara kwa iru kotini oranyore na nabora beku ororo emyaka yawo yonsi bogima bwawo bwonsi timaitina na kitora ko ringana lakini rendo mwanchu murigereria kera mangara buna ya gokoreka ase chinka cheita ase binyoro andonsi alia onyo muntu okwangire onyo bosani bwangire you don't force issues onyo byangire onyo byakongire tali lazima force yo muntu tali kobetereri muntu akwanche onyo mangana angire takuna ko ire bitambo kire bitindi bunebiga nere buna na aligere iri mono asa mangana ali agento ko bakakoreka abantu abahange n'abasacha bali sikogali bonsi kera mangana akongire takuna ko ire bitambukiro abasubate nabange gakwangire ukwangire igotali orenge achana na yeye timaiti nankiye ko gende twara teri abande na to kona komnya ko kona gosomia umwana obande skuru moibori oyo naro bairi bayembaro kwara irangora ubwanzani oboye nabo boragere okorena na mangana ali otakagerete lakini ndende sengencho kwara ra mangana abere ka okoreka amanga akorekanire nkirende okona kominyokera wasomia umwana obande abaibuli baye no bali abayirimba rorora basani koruga abo umwana kera akorire skuru kwaigwo chiro graduate ogoteri bana tingo tageti nanyorira omuntu wachakoire bitambukiro abandi baita basubati abandi oigwete ne acid amangana amakongu sana yotiga totiga amangana yegene tokona kobeko bwanchani enkoro ime mono kwamara kweretera amangana buna yiga andagende nkoreta aro bosoku by the way esengenje boniga kiro omuntu amanyire na gwaitiro musubati sheria ndio iyo obeku echera emyaka yonsi byote ibona menyoro inki gwakorena no musubati gwaiteta sengenje obwanchani surely tiga tutiga mangana ya iga yoko na koire bitambukiro bire bitindi gochia samagima ya mwanya bantu kiro muntu nabwate right ya yo komenya igona tobwene tiko korusia muntu bugima bwaye bose obomoyo mangana na makongre kinene na kago endete gokoreka twemeremo yeito noko bamanyia nabo igogotema gosemania sengencho na tutageti mangana buna yaiga agenda ko bakagokoreka ase chinsemo au aibe nime yorongo rwa gusiebe nisiko binadamu ni binadamu omuntu no muntu togosika bosio mwancho murigere nainde ase lingana linde lyogoichane naragari bono asense melie county ya Nyamira imeye bungeria ya borabu lingana naro ase mitandao galia kira abantu babuka bono mambia banyorana chiombe chiomonto yomo momenyo yomo asense meye bungeria ya borabu chiombe kianda anyora abo konyorana chikwete chonzi bichombe kianda na kolengana barabuna bagukwana nigo chiabete chikobekirwa esumu haki mbogi makyobo tumenyete mbantu kiaba timanye tinankoro kie chitobugate pakaliria karo mubisoga kitali bobe umwancho murigere tia turaborania nigo turasomoro biri gukwana ni tati gaturakwana naki ubwate nkorere ekero kubekira chiombe kianda chiomonto esumu chiaku chonzi pinindo ranyorega bono no ako kama mabere bwoni irindo bwakanira abana ba school fees userinde no akono na kangomba kama akanira umwana school fees uranyone sobo mabwaye bwonse abuno investment ya yiri ikina kinera are togeria tebe na asabo mabwane bwonse bina binagorire usebi na bimbwate ayanyanda mwamu kwa mana kubwata kwachi kwabekera chiombe chiombe tali no mwanya bantu chiombe mboro kyo ndamwamukiye amangana makongo sana lakini rende obo tukimba ganto kwa bagokoreka ase chinseme chiche bunge yo ya borabu lingane lineli kongo lingane lineli goichania andake bagotiana no borogi timanyeti lakini rende ni chebe no borogi mboro kyo ani borogi bado mbora sense amangana na makongo sana chindamwamu ichine chimbe kero muntu kwarorire na egende no bogima bwaye aho tena kora kwa mwakera chinko yumpaka na nari tukolia olike nayo nyora kwa biokire lakini rende endamwa munebe nembe na chiabe no mubiso obunarabe ana mangana makongo ayu atabwene tuko bakago koreka ntobwene tuko batuko yakwanira ase kubwa muna sorongoro ituru rwagusitira tagende koralia omorembe no bwanchane botokorali bobwente guchaka korunka amangana bunaya iga tabwene tuko bakago koreka nelingana likongo sana kolende obotuki bogenderete kumanya rende na andake mbara byabo useni ngoyo unyata ko bakakogire gitambukire getindi bunekiga na korusia obogima bwe chiombe kianda mangana makongo sana togo sikabosia selingana linde lyo mwelio ndarachi ko bakingo swanko manyina aliare kurwa sense moito yabaliki beito amangana naralia yaiga asomo chioria o Eldoret ase county area ya Uasin Gishu omworo kiwa narororo we university umwaka ogatatu Jumapili ekere bachite n'abasani baerende kera abana bara university ngoragenda bale bachikora atara abandi bachikora kano no bali ekere bachite bano chinsemo chia waterfall goro kuna keses kere basoirende gwako baliga chidaika go chikajana ko bachigweta amacha akanyana ko bagakobira omwana oyu usomoro kigoyu omumura sengencho na bune mbura ya ture chi waterfall chigo konyorana andake chigo ichurana na mache nabetega koirwa na mache ase obotuki konyo bwagendete ko bogokorwa korwa litukelia Jumapili nabo igona abalia batenete ensemelia ye department ya fire and disaster management korwa sensemo ye county ya Uasin Gishu ikoragwa no county assistant director Frederick Serem nigo bachagete koligia omwana oyu gosoma bere bo omwana oyu lakini ende naragali asensemo ye mitandao kolengana na bali barange ne amate gose family ne bagote abuna omubere bwo omwana oyu gosoma muroyo nigo bere ko gotoka after 2 nights wose 2 nights koruli tukolia Jumapili Jumatatu Jumanne mubere oyu nigo bere ko gotoka ase bano bagotebana nengora kubwamana na gochia se abana bamwabo abo babere bakobikana na se mitandao galia bakona goteya abantu konye gosento nyara ko batokonyora omubiri wo mwana ominto nabo igona eserikali ye county ya Uasin Gishu nigo babere bano bagokora omukyo monene ligotema konyora omubiri oyu ekere bano banyariko bakonyonyora igona omwancho murigereria andake abana baito bali barasi university mbuya kora soka na nechi weekend mware gokia kakirende na tia toteme ko bamaiso nabo igona ekereto kwegokia twegokia ake nendekere kwarori na mache ichuire buna boni ige mbura ni nyingi andake na bora nyore no maite go swim lakini rende mbuya tu abamaiso ntonyara kwa tokwebeka samangana makongu angabuna yaiga niringana likongu kegima niringana ryo gwicha ko bwamana na umwana ko wasorongorwa gusi gotogotebana nengora ya bene sengencho andake muibuli gatumito mwana skulu gosoma kwano rendi na makweli nda makweli amakongu kegima uroche mwana ole umwako gatatu wa university uyikonyo utigairi yake igakore mangana makongu lekitiga tuna gusabira abana baitwekere barase chisukuru chinde cyonse abane primary abane secondary abane university abane college tuna gusabira abana baitenda boni gabuna abana basiekire chisukuru barase chinka abayibuli andonse asemole toteme ko maiso toteme ko linda abana baito twamanyanga y'abana baito bale inkibago kora nende ningo bale nera singenje boni gachisagu chimbenchirororo amangana siasa narororo chinsemo ana bakonyo mwana osokire uchire kuligere limbanto kibago campaign guchisiko gaiga mbara ibago ser guchiga chingusana chigo chaka kwanyorone no mwana umiri gotyo toteme ko maiso chingakie chiga nabo igona amatukaya singenje namangana mange agene toko bagakwenekirwa ase chinsemo aho kubwa mono nenda chinsemo chipara tetogende ko maiso singenje ntokora sagukwana ndoroche mibasukana nengente kwenekirwa chinsemo higotiga toteme utumika chibara cheito nabo igona toteme ko babangalifu toteme ko maiso onde bwensi gotumika ibaro mwancho murigando china inara kurwa sensemo yito yemitanda sabani gokonganchira toyeke manyererio komanyimake ali ale kurwa sensemo yito yabaliki baito bamangana chibuna botambeliane dana kwamboka Gisoi. Bija kegima bono tigato chake nali ale kurwa sensemo yito yabaliki baito babangana committee ya Public Service Commission nigo aserit kolia igoro yaigete bosio we committee ya Senate iwe koligereria kubwa mano bokoreri no boliki sense ya Kenya National Cohesion Equality Opportunity and Regional Integration ase yabete wosiarore kanetebuna nigo ebisaku ebike bibwata mabaga amange yemeremo ase bisaku wetania 25 nomo bitigire isiko committee yo wetera ase omonyakerogo nigo yaganirie Public Service Commission kobeka emeroberio boronge asoko eneke buna ebisaku binde byanyorire amabaga korengana nelichiko.
The Commission has approved the establishment of 518 with a current input of 223 as of February 2026, equivalent to 53% of the total approved establishment input. Composition of our staff by ethnicity: 27 communities are represented at the Commission. Table 1.1 in the report presents the details of the demographic composition in terms of ethnicity and proportion. Composition of staff by gender: out of 273 staff, the numbers with respect to gender are as follows: male 133, representing 48.7%, and female 140, representing 51.28%. This one is subject in table 1.2 in the report, which presents the details of the staff in terms of gender. Composition of staff by age: out of 73 staff, the age distribution is as follows: 35 years and below for 6 staff, representing 17% of the total number of staff. 36 to 40 years, 43 staff, representing 16% of the total staff.
Out of the 45 registered ethnic community in this country, they have only considered 27 out of the 45 ethnic communities. So, Chair and CEO, I wanted to know, why is that so? That is question number one.
Let me guide that process. You note down all the questions so that you can answer them together because of time, Bwana CEO.
I have also noted with a lot of concern that 59.71% of the total number of employees represent 4 tribes. That is Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Luhya, and Luo. Chair, I wanted to know also why is the commission doing so, whereas there are so many people in this country that need employment, need to be employed, and need representation as well. And then, Chair, I also Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Luhya, and Luo.
Okay, how many percent?
Represent 59.71% of the total number of staff establishments.
Thank you.
In the entire organization. Chair,
a ratio between the national population and employment. If you look at that ratio, you can pick a particular among those communities. Let's, for example, pick Kikuyu on number what? Kikuyu 7. You will find that there are 52 persons there, which is 19.05%. But they are supposed to be having 17.13%, the difference of 1.90. If you look at it individual, you will not look at it as 59%. So we look at Kalenjin. Kalenjin are 40 number. They're supposed to be having 14.65. They are supposed to be at 13.37. They're at 14.65, 1.28. So the differences are very minimal individually. So, and look at Luhya, they are 38, they are supposed to be having 14.35, they are 13.92, difference of 0.43. And Luo, 34, they are supposed to be having 10.65, they are at 12.45, 1.8. So, Luhyas are even less. So, looking at individual, you will find that it's not much difference. But you can proceed. They can answer that question.
So I wanted to know page 14.
Page
14.
Page 14. Members, page 14?
Yes. So, Chairman, my question is, at what point is the supplier expected to provide the document? Whereas we are very much aware that when the supplier is tendering or is applying for maybe for a contract, provides all the necessary documents. But you are telling us that there are some delays in submission of compliance documents. So I wanted to know at what point are these documents supposed to be submitted to the organization? Is it during the time of tendering or after the tendering?
We are asking where are the rest of the 19 communities, considering the fact that Kenya has I think it is 46 gazetted communities. So we are questioning where are the rest of the 19 communities in this category. Then on page 10, table 1.3, distribution of PWDs by gender and ethnicity. I've also discovered that we have only 8 communities, ethnic communities captured. Does it imply that the rest of the other communities don't have people living with disabilities?
I just wanted to know how women are represented on top leadership.
And my question here is on the issue of the 60 years and above. I've seen around 6 employees, 4 females and 2 men. I don't know what the exit plan that you have for this age of 51 to 60 years, because that is the largest number. And bearing in mind that the changes of this country are the one who raised this question. And despite that, the fact that they are the ones who raised that question, I want to believe that the Commission has got some exit plan, which also should be a basis of assisting the rest of the country, especially the counties, because we've been dealing with a number of counties. I can say the whole counties, that's the 47 counties. And you find there's a lot of challenges in terms of the age bracket.
As Public Service Commission, we oversight the entire PSC, public service. And therefore, the standards we set must be reflected even internally. And today we are looking at internal issues. And when you look at some of the parameters in comparison to the service itself, we are doing much, much better than the service itself. So we want to lead by example. And that is one way where people can believe what we do when we go to them
They can believe because we are practicing ourselves. A case in point is look at PWD. Very few institutions have achieved the 5% minimum. We have exceeded that. We are now at 6.24. And this is a progression that we promise is even going to be better as we move forward. That is one. If you look at the AGPO, if you look at the progression from a non-compliant position of 14%, we went to 30%, and now we have exceeded to 35%. I want to assure that that is the trajectory that we shall be following to ensure that we are fully compliant with those provisions. If you look also at the distribution, which is the biggest problem, the ethnic distribution of our employees. PSC, and I need to say this, is one of the oldest commissions before independence. Some of these issues are historical. It is now that we are making deliberate efforts to correct some of these historical issues. And here I want also to point out that last week, with the National Assembly, we've agreed on the affirmative action regulations, which have been pending for a long time. And now we have cleared that, and we have been given the go-ahead to publish, so that it is a regulation that is enforceable by law. Those are some of the things we are making deliberate efforts to ensure that we have an all-inclusive public service. If you look also at women representation, and the Honorable Senator Betty had actually mentioned, we are among the few institutions where women, even in senior leadership, are more than the men. It is leading by example. And some of these things are not just by accident. Some of them are very deliberate, very conscious.
When you're talking to the nation. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things we are saying. We want to lead by example so that the rest of the service can follow. On the issue of the 60 years old, you can look at ourselves. We have only, is it 4 or 5? 6. All the others, other than one, are people living with disability. That category, their retirement age is at 65, and that is by law. So that explains why we have that number. The one I have yet to get details, Chair, but you can see we are doing very well.
Yes.
So, but let me allow the CEO now to look at the specific details on what we are doing.
Kwana CEO, please.
Over 60, it is only 6 members of staff. 5 are people living with a disability, but one is a secretary that was attached to the former chairperson who exited last year.
Is she on contract?
Yes, she's on contract.
Expiring when?
It is expiring in 2028.
Fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Proceed to other questions.
Thank you. Honorable.
For the special category required to submit documents, they are required to submit their documents at the bid submission stage. For open tendering, that they submit together with the tender document when they bid. So that's when they submit their documents. When we use the request for quotations, we require them to submit the documents as well. Now, going to the other question where the structure which we have is such that ACPO or these special categories are registered by the National Treasury. They are pre-qualified or registered by National Treasury. So the database for the ACPO categories is with the National Treasury. Once they bring their documents to us, we adopt. And that's why we have said in our report that we maintain a register of these groups. This register is what we use now to ask them for quotations. Where we have a challenge is when we give them the quotations, the documents they bring back, especially the ACPO certificate, it has a timeline. They are usually issued for 2 years. So that's the document that expires, and the tax compliance. Mainly they have a challenge with the ACPO certificate and the tax compliance.
Go to the next question.
Yes. The effort that we do in terms of reaching out to these groups is that the commission in its setup is that we are here at the headquarters alone. We are in Nairobi. We are not spread to the counties. So we make efforts to sensitize them. We've not had an opportunity to go to the counties, but we have forums where we sensitize the ACPO groups, and we give them forums to come. We show, especially at the beginning of the financial year, we give them opportunities. The reserved procurements for them, and how they can access them. So we sensitize them together also with our staff, especially those who are concerned with the procurement planning and
Togosika bosio murai we kiama kia DAPK Eugene Wamalwa nigo amomochirio mu waziri wa mang'ana y'obochenu imense Aden Duale ase ogoteberera ogotaiwana na wechi Kwana egati yaye amono yokabeire omokonyi bwo murai bwense ya Kenya Rigathi Gachagua okwana nabaliki amang'ana nigo amobolirie Duale koenekya buna nkobekare emeroberio emekiranu yogokonya esekte yuo y'obochenu Wamalwa nigo boigo amomochirio murai bwense ya Kenya Dr. William Samuel Ruto ase gotaikirania chira chiaye chiri abetega kubaliera abana inchi nabo igona nigo bale ange ko mwaka isiko ase obochori bure bosio
there are operational challenges, there are technical challenges in some areas where the kits were not working. In some areas we have very few equipment compared to the large numbers of the young people who are turning up. As the People's Alternative Government, we are very concerned because when IBC started this process, the turnout was very low. The young people of Kenya were very cynical and they were not willing to come out. Out of the targeted 6 million voters that the IBC aims to register, they were only able to register about 260,000. But since the Tuko Card initiative started, we are seeing numbers surging. And this is why we all want to encourage our young people. If you're a parent in this country and you want change, and you have an 18-year-old in your house, please get them out. Encourage them to go and get these IDs and to register. The next 30 days are going to be very important in terms of adding the numbers that will send William Ruto home and bring change to our country. So whatever is there must be addressed by IEBC. We engaged with IEBC as the alternative government a few weeks ago. Amongst the concerns we raised were certain irreducible minimums. One of those was that the CEO and the entire team that bungled the last election, headed by Marjan, must go. Indeed, they were able to terminate Marjan's contract, but that is not enough. We're telling IBC our second irreducible minimum was mathematics. That discredited Venezuelan technology that has been put in question in the US, and latest evidence shows that the credibility of that technology is questionable, and it will affect the integrity of our elections. We cannot afford another bungled election in our country. So even from Makweni here, we want to demand that our second irreducible minimum is termination of this mathematics contract. And since IEBC has not responded, we've gone ahead and filed a case in court. We intend to pursue this matter. And we ask the Honorable, the Chief Justice, to fast track and to prioritize all matters touching on elections. As we speak, the first step by IEBC now is the mass voter registration. The third reducible minimum, we said, we demanded from IEBC a clear roadmap. After the next 30 days, you've done the mass voter registration. What next? We're entering the month of April. You had said by end of March, during our meeting, you are going to host a stakeholders conference where you will present to us a clear roadmap. Beginning 10th of August 2027, working backwards. There are constitutional timelines, there are statutory deadlines that must be complied with. So we would like to demand, even as you embark on this mass voter registration, Chairman Ethicon and your commission, that we must engage as soon as possible in the next 14 days so that we look at that roadmap, even as the mass voter registration is going on, so that we're able to address the concerns, not just arising from the exercise that began yesterday, but arising from our meeting and the concerns we raised at the alternative government. Indeed, I've listened to the Honorable Rigathi speaking about the matter of SHA. I listened and watched Honorable Duale speak last night, and I want to tell Bwana Duale not to trivialize the matter of SHA, not to reduce it to a banter between him as CS. Listen to what, not just what His Excellency Gachagua has raised the concerns, listen to what the court ruled just a few days ago. Justin Mwamuye was very clear. We had 3 Adani deals, JKIA, we had Ketraco, and we had SHA. And one of the companies in SHA that Honorable Gachagua has referred to was actually Adani's company. The president dropped only 2 of the Adani deals. That was Ketraco and JKIA. He never dropped Shah. And Shah is where he and Duale and his cronies are making the money. In the ruling of the High Court, there were concerns raised about how this system was procured, about the justification for this system, about private entities being involved in the system that touches on an Article 43 right of access to health by Kenyans. So, Bwana Duale, don't trivialize these matters. These are matters of life and death, and we want these concerns addressed. And we're not just talking about Shah and the court ruling. Parliament, which is an institution that provides oversight, also addressed the same issues. Chairman Dr. Nyikal is a broad-based member, and from his submission, Dr. Nyikal was very clear that this Shah system is failing. Experts have shown His Excellency Gachagua that it might fail in the next 6 months or so, but a parliamentary committee of health found that this system is unsustainable. This system is unreliable. This system is untenable. So we're not talking about personalities. We're talking about institutions, the judiciary, parliament raising issues with Shah. We're talking about the church raising issues. When Duale came to Kakamega, there's an 100-year-old hospital called St. Mary's Mumias. It never failed during the colonial times, or Jomo Kenyatta times, or Moi, or Kibaki, or Ruto's time, or Uhuru's time. It failed when Shah came to town, a 100-year hospital. So we want to say, let this matter be addressed with the urgency it deserves and the importance it deserves. And we're not just talking about Shah. Bwana Duale, we know that even in Smartmatics, your name was mentioned. And in every system, whether it is Shah, where we are talking about 104 billion, Smartmatics, and you and Gulie have been mentioned. When we are demanding that this system the contract be terminated, we know your hand is there too. So don't just focus on Shah. We also know the wider role you have played as William Ruto's friend. Talk about integrity. How do you reduce a matter as important as a health matter to a family matter? You want to attack Honorable Gashagua's family and his brother's estate, which is a matter that has been handled by our courts under the Succession Act. And the president goes on to also trivialize the matter and talk about the Wamalwa Kijana estate that is before the court under succession case number 25-6 that is ongoing. It has a ruling by Justice Muchelule. So what we are saying from Makueni here is that there are serious, vital matters of national importance that must be addressed, and we are not going to fall in the trap of falling into the insults of this president. The insults are meant to divert us, to distract our attention, and will not fall into that. There are serious issues that this government should be addressing. Here in Makueni, the lower eastern region of this country for a long time has been getting relief food. But we have a Vision 2030 project here, the Thwake Dam, that can transform this region of Ukambani into a new breadbasket. I was privileged as Minister for Water right here at this hotel to meet the Ukambani leadership. We went and launched Thwake, and we progressed that project to almost 80% completion by the time Uhuru and I left office. Since William Ruto entered, he has not done anything to progress to completion this key Vision 2030 project.
Omokonyi w'omurai wense Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki nigo araririe emeroberio ya serikali na gukwanira omokia bwa serikali inse y'oburai bwa William Samuel Ruto ase ogikirania emeroberio ya magenderero gukwana chingaki aikiranete ase omoroberio o 19th Ambassadors Conference ime yomochi o Nairobi. Kindiki nigo atebete buna goika boniga nigo babekira omokia ase ogokinia obokoreri ase chisekta ao ime yense ya Kenya.
The current indicators of macroeconomic stability will be long-term, will not be short-term. We know there are both external and internal shocks, including global crisis like what we are having in the Middle East, but also internal shocks like droughts and floods and other things. But I dare say where this administration has placed Kenya's macroeconomic fundamentals is a place of near irreversibility. For the reason that we have found a way of cushioning our currency from erratic fluctuations that have always bothered us whenever there are short-term or long-term internal or external economic shocks. You'll witness for the last 2 years, our currency has stuck at between 128 to 129 to the dollar. That is not going to change anytime soon. It will not change. In fact, the projection from the Central Bank of Kenya is that any change, if at all, and it has to be minimal, will be to make the shilling even stronger. I'm saying this because we would have even done more on the Kenyan shilling, but we also have to balance the stabilization of our currency with other important national objectives, including the protection of our export earnings. Because if we don't control the stability of the currency, then we can have a sharp drop in export earnings, and that, of course, will have its own effect on the economy. Other than that, I want to give you the assurance that that indicator of macroeconomic stability is something we have been able to crack, and we are not going to reverse on that. But there are many other, or several other indicators also, which have worked well for the country. And again, we don't see ourselves going back to the unpredictable past. I'll give just two other examples in the interest of time. One is on national savings. Since 1963, we have struggled with a poor savings culture as a country. And one of the reasons why we have incurred a lot of external debts is a poor savings culture. And all these years, all these decades, we have been borrowing money from multilateral lenders, bilateral lenders, money which is savings of the people of other nations, which savings they end up lending the World Bank and other institutions, and that is what poor countries have been borrowing. We are almost turning a very important corner, because since 1963 to 2023, our NSSF, the pensions money, which is the money many countries use for their development and investments, we had saved 320 billion shillings for 62 years. They're coming into effect of a new law in 2023. For 2 years, by 2025 December, we have moved our national savings under NSSF from 320 billion saved over 6 decades. We've saved in 2 years an extra 370 billion in 2 years. We are now at 690 billion, and we are targeting by next year 1 trillion shillings in national savings. 3 times. In 3 years, we'll have saved 3 times what we have saved in 62 years. That is one of the stress relievers that you've seen of late, especially on our national infrastructure projects. We are now dueling the Rironi-Mau Summit Highway. We are not going to borrow any money. There will be no debt, and we will not raise new taxes. Part of the money being invested to build that road is money. NSSF has a big stake, is one of the big investors. Just to give you an example. So national savings is another macroeconomic indicator that we have cracked, and we are not going to reverse on that. Going forward, we'll be borrowing our own money without any threat of sovereign default and the embarrassment that follows nations that borrow to build infrastructure, which infrastructure gets externally exposed when there is a threat of default. Maybe one last example of macroeconomic indicators which we have resolved with finality. The foreign exchange reserves. In 2022 September, the foreign exchange reserves were at 5.7 billion, the lowest in so many years, providing an import cover of only 2.5 months. We have now, in the last 3.5 years, pushed our national reserves from $5.7 billion to a historic $14.2 billion US dollars, the highest reserves we have ever got in our country. Remember in 2022, if you needed some dollars, you had to book with a bank. I'm sure some of the bankers are here, they can witness, they can give evidence and testify. If you are an importer, you want to bring some goods in Kenya, you need to pay in US dollars, like oil marketers and other people. If you need $1 million, you are told we cannot get $1 million. We'll give you 20,000, 50,000. You book, and you are not sure you'll get them. Today we have more than enough. We have almost 7 months of import cover, meaning even if the economy was shut for 7 months, we can still continue transacting and running our economy.
Etaya TV Oborabu Wagusi.
Welcome to Hurricane Academy Kisii, a modern mixed day and boarding school offering CBC curriculum at preschool, primary and junior secondary levels. It provides a serene learning environment, enough qualified teachers, modern facilities such as library, computer and science laboratories, classes and dormitories, playgrounds and accessories, and they nurture talents and excel in sports, and their scholars are picked and dropped home. To secure a chance for your child, visit us at Yatwenya, Kisii Maran Road, 2 kilometers outside Kisii town, or call 0755 331318. Hurricane Academy, the future is here.
Noga netigo chaka gusekogaliya oboncholi bwa mitumba mama tefi mitumba nedukembo ukegima somo chobosongo yachire nguma sokoni ya belts au asili guliuranyale guikelia mbabwate unabono jackets, school bags, mixed bags, hoodies, baby light, house towels, ebikoroto by'abana guikabanta banene, curtains amone binde binge. Inyuri byonse nigobire asekerengo kya grade 1 kurachiza cha Canada, UK, USA amona China.
Hi everyone, my name is Abbas. I'm the only supplier for the orange label. It's from Canada and it's a really high quality. We bring hundreds of items in this label. We have purses, household, blouses, t-shirts, trousers, jeans at really affordable prices. And now you can get them from Mama Tefi in Kisii.
Boigo, nkorobara maigirio guchasa bali batagete guchikokoro boncholia bwa mitumba.
Kwa majina naitwa Mama Tefi Mtumba. Yeyote yule mwenye huko nje na anatamani kuanza biashara la mtumba, ameshindwa anaanzaje? Usijiulize uko na pesa ngapi. Ile pesa yako kidogo uko nayo, iwe 5,000, iwe 6,000, karibu kwa Mama Tefi ili uweze kupata funzo na uanze biashara na ile pesa yako kidogo uko nayo.
Kwa majina anaitwa Damakli Nyabonyi, ni muuzaji wa nguo za mitumba. Vile nilianza sikuwa najua vile nauza, lakini vile niliingia huko alinielezea vile naanza kuuza, ninaendelea vizuri na usaji wangu.
Niko kutoka Kisii Town Imperial Building ground floor opposite St. Jules Building. Asamange bakiri simya senamba enoti sana ibere sana ibere enoti sana isato AM isanemo enoti sano gose enoti sana ibere sana ibere isano isana ibere inye isana na isato isano niko bakwigora matukonsi yeiki.
Mimi naitwa Monica abedo rongo abiroka akao mzigo kwa Mama Tefi obro mi kende de usa maber ibro yudo gi maber.
Mama Tefi mitumba obo korelio buya bwa mitumba oligene.
Karibu Harken Academy Kisii, shule ya kisasa ya bweni na kutwa kwa wavulana na wasichana inayopeana masomo ya CBC kuanzia preschool, primary na junior secondary. Iko na mazingira matulivu, walimu waliohitimu na wa kutosha, maktaba ya kisasa, mahabara ya kompyuta na sayansi, madarasa na mabweni ya kisasa, mahali pa wanafunzi kujifurahisha na pia wanakuza talanta na kutia fora katika michezo mbalimbali. Vile vile wana usafiri wa kutosha. Kupata nafasi ya mwanao, watembelee Riatwenya, kilomita 2 kutoka mji wa Kisii, barabara ya Kisii Marani, au piga simu nambari 0755331318. Harken Academy, the future is here.
Mwanchumo lya Etaya TV kera litikolie ikiana na mwana litikolie Jumanne chinsa 2 na bego chinsa nye ni otokomera naye elitwa ko manyonsi buna kolekanire kurwa chinkongo ao
Nimeye kimanyererio Jumanne na nigora bego kumirana na inche Evelyn Osero
na inche Eric Bosire
tokubwatira nabari kibaito ro kumanyana yabereka watka kurwa se chinsinyo ao imes ya Kenya na se orogongo rwa Gusii
nyorobo igontunyala ka batoko twara baraya na mwana kurwa sensemelia ya gesiasa komolekeronsi buranyala ka bakao kolekana ime na isiko yensi ya Kenya
kira litkoria Jumanne imeye kimanyererio Jumanne imeye Etaya TV
oborabu wa Gusii.